In the annals of Asshai, it is told how the Valyrians of legend came to possess dragons. It is said that people so ancient that they had no names first tamed the dragons in the shadow at the heart of darkness, a place that all mortals, even shadowbinders, fear. The people of the shadow brought the first dragons to Valyria and taught the Valyrians the art of magic, showing them how to tame the dragons and bind them to their will. Though the Valyrians themselves claim that they found the dragons layering in the 14 flames, the version found in Asshai in some ways seems to fit reality better. The Valyrians were a simple folk for many centuries before they came to possess the power of dragons, and there is no explanation found for how Valyrians came to know magic. If people from the heart of darkness taught the Valyrians, then it would explain how they went from simple sheep herders to one of the most formidable empires of all time in a matter of years. But the claims of the Asshai are not all we have to support the idea that dragons came from the shadow. In A Game of Thrones, Bran is shown a glimpse of the entire world for just a moment, including Asshai. He lifted his eyes and saw clear across the narrow sea, to the free cities and the green Dothraki sea and beyond, to Vaes Dothrak under its mountains, to the fabled lands of the Jade Sea, to Asshai by the shadow, where dragons stirred beneath the sunrise. This scene takes place near the beginning of A Game of Thrones, while Dany's dragons weren't born until the very end. This indicates something very clearly. Dany's dragons weren't the cause of magic returning to the world, because dragons were never extinct in the first place. Daenerys herself initially suspects this to be true, though she is discouraged by her handmaidens. She had heard that the first dragons had came from the east, from the Shadowlands beyond Asshai and the islands of the Jade Sea. Perhaps some were still living there, in realms strange and wild. So who are these people from the shadow who gave the knowledge of dragons and how to use them to the Valyrians? That much is unclear, but there is a potential connection between them and something on the other side of the world. Though Maester Theron had claimed that the sea stone chair was built by the Deep Ones, the sea-dwelling beings of legend, Maester Kurth suggested that the object was left by visitors who came from across the Sunset Sea. But what lies across the Sunset Sea? If you look at a map, you can see that this place is where all knowledge fails us. We can only speculate as to what secrets are hidden there. However, the planet is round. In A Game of Thrones, during the same vision that shows Bran dragons stirring in Asshai, Bran crosses the curtain of light at the end of the world and moves beyond it to see the other side. This means that either another continent that has yet to be discovered exists beyond the Sunset Sea, or simply, it meets the other end of Essos. Could the visitors Maester Kurth speaks of be the people of the shadow? There is a question proposed by the world of ice and fire that seeks answers regarding the motives of these shadow people. Yet if men in the shadows had tamed the dragons first, why did they not conquer as the Valyrians did? The Maester here has submitted a fallacy, a loaded question, making the false assumption that these beings in the shadow must have been men. It is in the heart of men to rule and conquer. However, we know nothing about these people of the shadow. Perhaps they did not possess the desires of men. It is said that strange things live in the shadow, demons and twisted beasts. But these are all tales. The true nature of what lies in the shadow and its heart is largely unknown. In my video on Asshai, I explored the possibility that R'hllor himself could live in the heart of the shadow at Stygii, the corpse city. Since according to Melisandre, shadows are creatures of the light, this could justify why shadows cover this place. It would make sense for a being such as R'hllor, a fire god, to gift the gift of dragons, fire made flesh, to humanity. Melisandre once said that R'hllor spoke to his chosen few in the language of ash and cinder and twisting flame, that only a god could truly grasp. Could it be that the Valyrians were given a mission by R'hllor, but failed when they grew too vain? The bones of dragons can be found in many places of the world, but it is said that the Valyrians harnessed and subjected them as no one else could. The Valyrians believed themselves to be kin to dragons, and even gods themselves. They enslaved an uncounted number of people, and none can say how many perished in the Valyrian mines. But it is known that the number was so large that it defies comprehension. The death of Valyria was fire and ash. The 14 flames erupted and split the earth beneath the freehold, allowing the ocean to rush in. The people of the Valyrian freehold seem to have been claimed by the wrath of R'hllor. The knowledge of shaping black stone, creating Valyrian steel, and taming dragons couldn't simply have appeared out of nowhere, especially for sheep herders who would have largely been uneducated. Apart from Asshai, Valyria was the only place in the world where the arcane arts were practiced so openly, and the similarities between the black Valyrian stone on Dragonstone and the black stone in which Asshai is built from has been noted. Perhaps it is not a coincidence that Asshai, which lies so closely to the Shadow, and Valyria, which may have been influenced by visitors from the Shadow, share certain properties. These people from the Shadow were likely servants of R'hllor, perhaps human, perhaps not. We know there are other sentient species in this world. The evidence for the Deep Ones is far too great to be ignored, and the existence of the children and the giants is blatant. These people from the shadows spread this knowledge for a purpose, and though that purpose has been lost to time, the ramifications of what they did have been felt for thousands of years, even currently, centuries after the fall of Valyria. Valyria's destruction ended the time of the dragons in Essos, and the people of the Shadow vanished. While we can speculate as to exactly what happened, the truth is hidden beneath many eons of legend and lore.